Since its release, I always wanted to try out Nothing's sub-brand phone, the CMF Phone 1. I enjoyed using the Nothing Phone 2A, so perhaps I'll enjoy this one as well. You can watch my video about that after this if you want. So I reached out to Nothing to get a hold of a unit, and lo and behold, they ignored me. Luckily, one of my friends who I shower free tech with bought one and lent it to me for several days. So today we'll be checking out a day in the life with the Nothing Phone, the CMF Phone 1. So I was supposed to jog at like 6 a.m. today, but I got sidetracked last night with a couple of friends. So instead of jogging, we'll just walk around the place with the CMF Phone 1. I've never walked around this place before. It's my sister's house, by the way. Excuse my voice and the shot since I forgot to bring a tripod. Let's put some shoes on. Oh, so the camera can only shoot up to 4K with 30 FPS while you can shoot at 60 while on 1080p. The front cam is surprisingly okay. It only goes up to 1080p on 60 or 30 FPS though, although it will get grainy in the absence of a light source. I can't rotate the camera as well while I'm using it, so that's kind of weird. Anyway, let's get to walking around with this thing. The camera is actually good for its price range. The colors are pretty vibrant in these clips and the stabilization is somewhat decent. Not good, but decent. You'll get a bit of a rolling shutter once you really start to shake this thing, which I'll demonstrate later on. This only has two cameras, by the way, a 50 megapixel and a 2 megapixel camera. You can zoom in 10x, but as you expected, you'll get crappy results. You won't even realize that those are trees that I'm zooming in at. Here's the iPhone 16 Pro's footage for a comparison. Crazy. But like I said, the camera is not exactly terrible. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the two phones in auto mode. The Phone 1's result is quite impressive for a budget phone. Oh, it's the same problem with the Phone 2A. But what do you think about the mic so far? It's what I've been using when I show videos shot on the Phone 1. Honestly, I think it's not that bad. Like the mic, the selfie cam isn't horrible either. It even captured the rust mark I was walking around with when I opened the gate. The portrait mode is pretty detailed too, separating me and the background perfectly. So far with the outdoor lighting, the rear camera is surprisingly impressive for a smartphone this cheap. I honestly expected something worse. Although you'll start noticing the grain and drop in quality even at a slight loss of good lighting. Like I said, the stabilization isn't the best, especially when you do wild movements with this thing. Like, why would you do that though? I'm back. So after a light exercise and feeding the cats, I ordered some breakfast on Food Panda. What should we eat? And I guess now is a good time to talk about the battery life. When my friend lent it to me, I kept it inside the box at 100% battery level. And after 4 days with the Wi-Fi off, it still had around 47% battery, which is the level it was at when I left the house at around 7:25 a.m. After all that shooting and scrolling through the phone settings and customization, which is very similar to the Nothing Phone by the way, for obvious reasons, it still had 37% battery, which I will try to test if it can last the entire day. You can check out the hours left it has on the battery settings too. And now we're going to head to the museum to check if it's open, but first we have to get some cash. After getting confused at the one-way roads, we made it to the Malvar Museum. By we, I mean me. It's a small museum dedicated to the leader of the Batangas Province Rebellion against the Spaniards during the 1890s. May iba pa pong museum dito sa Santo Tomas. Atanawan po. Atanawan. It's a very small museum and no one's here aside from the guard who let me inside. Thank you, boss. I just thought that this would be a good place to show off the camera capabilities and learn a bit about the history of this place. There's no wide lens, so that sucks. What's weird is that even with a decent amount of indoor lighting, there's still visible grain on the clips and the colors seem washed out. But check out this cool 18th century rifle though. Right after that short history lesson, I went to the nearby mall to get some grub. Similar to the Phone 2A, this struggles to handle different lighting situations, as you can see with the overblown skies outside, as if an alien spaceship is coming down from the skies. But hey, at least you can still get some mouth-watering food clips from this thing. Don't expect a manual mode at this price range too. At this point, I didn't know where else to go since the people I was supposed to go with to the art museum had a change of plans. So after feeding my sister's cats, I went to my friend's house to hang out with her brother and daughter the entire day. And that pretty much how my day went. My day was quite boring, but thankfully the Phone 1 wasn't. So should you consider buying this phone? Before we answer that question, here are the aspects I liked and disliked about this budget smartphone. First of all, the design is pretty cool. My initial impression of the back case is that it's metal, but turns out it's just matte plastic, which you can replace via a screwdriver. This knob is also customizable and you can attach other accessories to it as well. But me and the owner of the phone found it a bit hard to remove.
Thanks. Oh, yeah.
The material is a bit slippery too and is IP52 rated. The other camera isn't really a camera, it's just a sensor for bokeh shots or something. It has a single speaker at the bottom next to the Type-C port, which sounds alright.
Lab 4 here. Did you know you can make
The fingerprint scanner works great too without delay. Oh, and it has an expandable storage too. How about that? As you've seen throughout the video, the camera is pretty usable. The performance is quite impressive too, and so are my friend's mobile Counter-Strike skills. I didn't see any frame drops or stutters, and here are his graphic settings if you're curious. Next is that it doesn't feel like a cheap phone. Most of the time you won't even realize you're using a $200 phone. I was even more careful with using this than my phone since this didn't have a case yet. It even has a 6.6 AMOLED display and an adaptive 120Hz refresh rate. And the one-hand scroll feature I like with the Nothing phone, and the clone apps feature. Like I've been saying throughout this video, it's a really good, affordable phone. Lastly would be the price, as most of you would have guessed by now. It's marketed for $200, but it's more like $210 here, and it's probably the best and most unique budget smartphone for 2024. And I guess it still is for 2025. When Nothing announced this thing, I really wanted one, but it took a while to reach the Philippine market and they sold it for like 300 bucks or something. I only found one downside of this thing is that the unboxing experience is different in other countries for some reason. The one we have here, for example, didn't have the screw for the phone case but only had the SIM ejector tool on one end. Some of the accessories are not sold here too, and if they are, they're a bit expensive. Oh, and there still isn't a local photo album. You'd still have to access Google Photos, which is still weird for me, but I think they might change that in a future update. There's no wireless charging too or charging block, which is expected. That's pretty much my complaint about this thing. It's a good phone. It feels literally like a Nothing phone without the glyphs. And since my Android broke, I'm contemplating on whether I get this or another Samsung phone. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy this boring day in the life? Comment down below your thoughts on the CMF Phone 1 and thanks for watching.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you watched this video, you're a sweet mom.
Bye-bye.